Hey everyone, it's your boy, The Legit Gamer, Quality, Caribbean Islands. A lot of people don't know me, but I'm a hardcore gamer, along with maybe half of the viewers that are watching this right now. But you can't be a hardcore gamer without knowing your roots, where everything started, where it came from. So I'm here to give you the history of video games over the course of the years I've been alive. We'll see how everything progressed over the years to what it is today. So without further ado, I know my parents couldn't have even dreamt of conceiving me at this time, but back in 1947, Thomas Goldsmith Jr. was the first to create an electronic game on a cathode ray tube connected to an oscilloscope, a similar concept to how they made televisions later on. It was called the cathode ray tube amusement device. It was pretty basic. A player adjusted knobs on the device to change the trajectory of a beam spot to hit targets that were on the screen. Nothing interesting that we would play today. Although it was the first electronic game ever made, technically it wasn't. It was never marketed to the public. That's why a lot of people don't even know about this device. What a fail on the video game industry. But don't worry, someone else would come and take the glory as the so-called first. In 1958, William Higginbotham created Tennis for Two, which was marketed as the first electronic game ever made. Poor Goldsmith Jr. It illustrated a beam being knocked back and forth on an oscilloscope, simulating the tennis court and a tennis ball. Yes, even though we had tic-tac-toe on the Nimrod computers, this is still classified as the first. Remember back then, computers were as big as your fridge and even bigger. But over the years, they got smaller and smaller as the video game industry improved in the era of the arcade. We had Pong, one of the most revolutionized games in history, especially with the creation of the first generation home video game console, the Magnavox Odyssey by Rudolf Beer. It didn't have any sound, but it got the job done to entertain us at the time. Then we had the Atari 2600, the second version of the Odyssey, Intellivision, Sega, the new Atari, TurboGrafx 16, Super NES, and Nintendo 64. The era of the cartridge was amazing, especially my favorite would have to be the Sega Genesis. I remember playing it so fondly as a kid until I inevitably fucked it up. They were awesome consoles of their time. Would I play them now? Yes and no. It depends on what I want, because even back then the graphics and the mediocre 8 to 16-bit music was atrocious, but enjoyable nevertheless. Plus we could not have done better. The first to fourth generation consoles were good, and it's the fifth generation and beyond that really paved the way for what we have today. PlayStation, Dreamcast, GameCube, another old favorite of mine, Xbox, and shortly personal computers were introduced